some of the things that we've seen around the nation regarding some major key points that, you know, should be addressed within police departments, public safety departments, you know, any type of department that uses some form of use of force or those types of trainings. So to kind of, I guess, I know that you guys have recently updated your policy and procedure regarding use of force that just got approved by our city council. One of the questions that I have is just, you know, when use of force is used during an incident, what are the types of reporting requirements in place within our department to review that incident if use of force is required or used? Can you kind of talk about that?
Sure. Here in Berkeley, we don't need to use force very often. And first of all, I will tell you, in my career, anytime force needs to be used, it is not pretty. I mean, you just can't make it pretty. And the reason we train in it is if you do it right, the likelihood of injuries is less. If you're hesitant, or, you know, we teach de-escalation, we have a de-escalation policy. That's always our first goal, is not to touch anybody. And quite honestly, I found with my personality, very rarely in my career, I'm not really in a position where I do that much now, but most people will comply. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a lot of people that are intoxicated or have mental illness, and sometimes it's really, really hard to connect. So, you know, our goal is to use the minimum amount of force we have to. But if force is used, we do have a very stringent reporting. We have it's about a 7-page, which, you know, the length of the report doesn't make it great. It's the content of the report, detailing all the circumstances. It is reviewed by a first-line supervisor, lieutenant, and myself, and also our training unit. Again, to make sure our policy was followed and also learn from it. Anytime we use force, which again has only been a handful of times since I've been here, anytime we use force, you know, first of all, is there something we could have done to avoid that? And if there wasn't, you know, was that the best way to do it? You know, we're really trying to learn from every single situation we have. The bulk of the incidents, quite honestly, involve mentally ill, and there just are not a lot of resources for the mentally ill, or quite honestly for us right now, and that's a problem that we deal with.
Okay. And so kind of continuing with use of force, one of those, some of the techniques, not sure if it's used here, but, you know, chokeholds and strangleholds. Do we have a ban on those? Do we have them as a part of our use of force program? And then can you kind of talk about more on, like, if yes, why, you know, if no, when did that, you know, what led to that decision, if there was one, that an incident or anything like that to occur for that to happen?
Sure. Back when I went to the academy, we learned chokeholds and how to do them appropriately. They have been out in Michigan for years. I mean, I don't even remember when they went out. It's been that long. So our previous policy said that only authorized techniques are permitted. Chokehold. There's a couple of technical names for them, which I'm completely drawing a blank right now, but that was not an authorized technique. So that was never allowed. Our new policy specifically says they're not allowed for non-deadly force situations. And in deadly force situations, you know, there's deadly force situations where you have to save either your own life or somebody else's life. Really, I'm trying to think of the best terminology to use it, but we'll use whatever we can to stop the assault. But I have not seen a chokehold in, man, probably 30 years. So they're not taught in Michigan, and they're not something that's used in Michigan. I can't speak for other states. As I understand in Minnesota, that's a approved technique. It hasn't been here, and they're not used here.
No, and I think it's crucial to mention that, you know, moving forward, as we transition into whatever this change looks like, you know, that's a good thing to know, I think, from a resident, as well as you guys, for a standpoint, you know, in terms of, you know, interactions with officers. kind of continuing with those interactions, another big proponent, or at least conversations that have come up, whether it's sputtering through the national news or just even here locally, body cameras. Do we have body cameras? Yeah.
We don't right now. We did dedicate some money in a future budget. I think it's a year after next.
Mm-hmm.
We just got new in-car cameras here in Berkeley. So all of our marked police vehicles, our utility vehicles such as our animal control truck, our pickup truck, and also our fire apparatus all have cameras. So that's a new system, a substantial investment of over $100,000 plus. We have cloud storage, so that's close to $20,000 a year also. So quite honestly, we're still working out the bugs on that. It's been working fine, but there's some infrastructure issues we had to work through. Body cameras, the initial investment for the city of Berkeley would probably be about another $100,000. That's buying the cameras, buying the accessories you need for them, some more infrastructure upgrades for our network here also, and then probably about another $16,000-$17,000 a year in cloud storage. So I have yet to talk to a police officer either in this department or my former department that is against body cameras. When we first went to in-car cameras back, I want to say it was probably the early 90s, mid 90s where I was, there was some resistance, but I don't know anybody that is not for them, because I find that a lot of times the video shows pretty much what happened. Again, it doesn't show everything. There's things can happen out of view, but I think it's a great tool to have. So there's nobody against it. Another thing, there's privacy. There's FOIAs where, quite honestly, we may have to hire another person just to process those. More and more for discovery and FOIAs, we're getting requests for it, and it's a very, very time-consuming process because we have to redact all personal information. So it's not an easy thing to do. So we do have in the budget. My former department, we budgeted for them. It's been in the budget there for 3 or 4 years, and they're still working on implementing it. In this area here, there's only a couple departments that have them, and so it's a process that in this area you're just seeing them being implemented. So I'm totally for them, no problem at all. As a matter of fact, I talked to a lieutenant today to say, put them in tomorrow. We'll be ready. It's a process to get the infrastructure in place and to actually purchase them.
Certainly. And I imagine that there's also some after infrastructural things in terms of protocol and process, in terms of how body cams will be positioned and
yes.
and how they need to be used, how long they need to stay on, those kinds of things, which I imagine is a process in itself on top of the process of just getting the body cameras.
Exactly. And the good part is several departments have done it. And in police work, we don't call it stealing something from somebody else. We call it reinventing the wheel. So, we share good policies with each other between the departments. And when I mentioned Oakland County too, I think I keep saying it, but we're Oakland County, and this is the only county I've ever worked. So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but we're way ahead of a lot of this state and the country. This is a lot of professional departments in this area. So we're really lucky for where we live and work, because I really do think Oakland County, the departments in Oakland County, and including the sheriff's office, we've got really good relationships with the federal and state agencies, and it really is a professional area to work. I do think that we're ahead of a lot of like I said, the state and the country.